When I was very young, I watched my grandfather building and flying model airplanes. He had a long career in aviation, learning to fly in a Curtiss Jenny, acting as a flight instructor during World War II and afterwards as well. Being around him only fueled my addiction to aviation, and he eventually taught me how to fly at about the age of 8 with a radio control model called the Senior Cadet, which he built for the purpose. I was hooked, and my father suggested I give full-size planes a try. After a rather boring flight in a Cessna 152 at a large airport, at about the age of 14, with a control tower and radio comms to deal with, I found myself unsure if I wanted to continue in full-size aviation, and went back to flying models for a while. My father, after having experienced the golden age of flight himself as a little boy, and having flown in the likes of Ford Trimotors, knew that there was more to aviation than Cessnas and controlled airspace. He took me one day to a small airport in Sonoma Valley called Shellville. At the time, there were about 140 vintage aircraft at this sleepy little airport, and it was the kind of place when the FAA showed up, all the hangar phones started ringing, and you could hear all the doors closing quickly. In short, it was a great little airport, and with no control tower, and nothing but the good eyeball and Unicom to keep you out of trouble, it was the ideal place to learn how to fly. My perspective changed even more when I met Bill Donovan, who would become my flight instructor, and who owned the flight school there. He had 2 Cetabrias, 3-9er Yankee, the one he used for cross-country trips, and another 872 that he used for aerobatic training and off-field landings. I loved the first flight. Lots of things impressed me. The feel of the fabric aircraft was something I could relate to coming from model building background. The vibration and tail dragger configuration made me feel more like I was riding a Harley Davidson than driving a Honda Accord. Pulling 3 to 5 Gs in a turn was exhilarating, and executing severe side slips on the landing approach seemed like the coolest thing. Finally, touching down on the grass runway was perfect for my concept of flying, and I would not bother flying from the paved runway for quite some time. It wasn't long until my flight instructor, by that time my good friend, took me under his wing, so to speak, and I spent lots of time with him servicing the airplanes and cleaning and fueling them in trade for flight time. I still paid him what I could and enjoyed every minute of it. Getting my student's license and my first solo flight pulled off was a major accomplishment for me at the time, as I didn't have a driver's license and had to get rides from Bill to get to the airport and from my dad. I was 16 by then. I flew with Bill as long as I could until life got in the way, and I ended up moving out of the country for quite some time. I lost contact with Bill, unfortunately, so if anyone knows him, please leave a message in the comments in his contact so I can get in touch with him. Last I knew, he was living in the city of San Francisco. As many of you know, I've gone on to do design work and development of specialized unmanned aircraft, but I'm still eager to fly full-size planes whenever I get the chance. My grandfather has since passed away. However, he is responsible for sparking my interest in aviation. I want to thank my father as well for his constant encouragement in whatever I do in life. And I want to thank Bill Donovan for giving me the chance to experience the magic of manned flight in these wonderful little Cetabrias. If you haven't done it already, I'd highly recommend you find yourself a flight school which has tailwheel aircraft and go for an introductory flight lesson yourself. The confidence you will start to build from the very first day and the experience ever after will be absolutely life-changing, and you will never regret it. The same goes for your kids and grandkids. What better present to give them than the love for something so interesting and diverse such as aviation? Thanks for allowing me to share my experience, and until next time, have a good one.